Still starting here.
Oh yeah, you let me know when we're live.
Yeah. Okay, we are live. Conncast here with Black Swan Finances. We're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, a little bit about gold, silver, maybe get into some other commodities. But you want to introduce yourself a little further?
Yes, this is Oscar with Black Swan Finances at blackswanfinances.com, and we are into alternative investing. And as the name says it, we are preparing for the next Black Swan event because it is, a lot of economists agree that it's likely that we'll see some downward movement for the stock market. Or, a lot of people agree that the currencies are in trouble, and we can see that in places like in Turkey, where they just had a big movement downwards. So that's what we do. We are trying to prepare for those kinds of events.
Of course, and I think more than anything lately, at least on his YouTube channel, Oscar's been the Bitcoin guy. Whatever happens with Bitcoin, he knows what's going on. What's it worth today, Oscar?
Well, today is actually a pretty good day. We've been up and on Bitcoin for the past couple of days. It did took a dip after the breaking $1,120. Then it went down, but now we're back up. Yeah.
And what do you think that was? Was that just a panic for, going to sell when it gets to 1,000, or what do you really think that was, that dip?
I think that it was inflated. The price did get inflated, and people realized that the past high that we had in 2013, it was pretty much that, right? $1,200. So when it got to that level, people knew that we're pushing it a bit too much, and people started selling. And actually, that's when I sold my Bitcoin at the top.
A lot like Tesla stocks.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And now we're at $870, which is pretty good,
Where do you think the equilibrium will be over the next, 6 months?
Well, honestly, I don't think there will be an equilibrium for the next 6 months. I think that we'll be seeing a constant rise, and I think equilibrium will just be fluctuating between a level and the next, just like it's been for the past year. If you look a year back, it was $370, 400 between 370 and 450.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard of Bitcoin. Everybody in was it Cyprus was having a bank meltdown there. So that was really one of the first times it got mainstream press.
So going into how much was it when you heard about it?
I think it was like $35. It was something
ridiculous.
It actually seemed absurd at the time when I heard about it, because the cryptocurrency, like, how do you even get it? What does it represent?
Right. Yeah.
They're laughing now.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah.
They're not laughing anymore, are they?
As far as Bitcoin goes, what makes Bitcoin more valuable than other cryptocurrencies? Because I've seen a lot of other cryptocurrencies, some of them involved with like memes and some of them involved with straight up scams. Is it just a marketing thing, or is it the infrastructure that goes with Bitcoin? Or is it just the most commonly used cryptocurrency? And for
I think it's a bit of both of the last two things that you mentioned, the infrastructure and also that it is very widely spread. But I know what you mean, like Dogecoin or Dogecoin.
Yeah, Dogecoin.
I know.
I've never had a Bitcoin wallet, but I have had a Dogecoin wallet. I'll admit that.
Jesus Christ, why even? But tell me.
When I tried to get into Bitcoin, it was past the point of diminishing returns, so I thought I might as well have fun learning the technical end of it and go on to Doge's list, commission some Doge pictures for some Dogecoin.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Tell me.
I actually got paid 35 Dogecoin for making a Doge meme once.
And how much is it worth now?
I don't know. When I checked, it was like worth 0.001 cents.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, somebody tried to get me into those. But if we go back to Bitcoin, the reason why it's so amazing is because, well, it was the first one. And the engineer who conceived it, Satoshi Nakamoto, which is obviously it's a It's not a real name, right? It's a pen name or a
Hmm.
pseudonym. I mean, he's or he or his team or whatever that means, because I don't. Maybe
Yeah.
he didn't do it alone. Maybe it's a team, right? And I mean, it's a lot of they put a lot of effort into it. The infrastructure, the blockchain technology. It's just the first time that we see something like that, and that is why it's so solid even to this day, because of the technology behind it, and yeah, and because it was the first one for sure, the grandfather of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, I remember. I know the first purchase with Bitcoin was pizza for 35 Bitcoins.
Yeah, how much would that be now? Like $35,000, maybe
Yeah.
30,000, $35,000. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
now
No,
nowadays we can buy, like there's some corner stores here in Montreal where we're based that accept Bitcoin. So there you go.
really.
Yeah, yeah. We have
Wow.
some corner stores here that accept Bitcoin, especially around the downtown area.
Yeah,
But that's
very
very,
metropolitan
very
thing.
interesting. Right, right.
Yeah, soon enough you're gonna get card systems.
Well, you know what? There is actually debit cards nowadays that you deposit Bitcoin and you withdraw in dollars. So there's this new company. I can't remember their name right now, but if you go to the Dollar Vigilantes website with Jeff Berwick, he
Yeah,
has um, he has information on this new company. They're based in Russia, but they're legit,
yeah,
even though they're based in Russia.
yeah. You got to be careful.
I
Go on
know,
Deep
yeah.
Web, you'll find a lot of guys based in Russia.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, we had a couple of bad experiences with Russia, but let's not get into that. But yeah,
Yeah,
these guys are based in Russia, and they're legit. They moved now to the US. So now they have they've opened an
yeah. They're
office.
following banking securities laws and such, and they have their own office.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're big. It's just a shame that I can't remember their name, but I'm thinking about getting one of those debit cards that you basically deposit in Bitcoin and you withdraw in US dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how far we're getting. Yeah.
So, how do you think this will affect the rest of alternative investment markets? Do you think it'll
Well,
have much of an effect on gold, silver?
I do. I do believe that they're tied together. Like as Bitcoin will increase its price, what does that mean? It just means that people are losing faith in in fiat money, and
Yeah.
therefore I believe that we'll see a rise in gold and both gold and silver
Now I know
because they're.
diamonds aren't a big investment thing, but I'm gonna tie this all together
Mhm.
in a couple minutes. Somebody was actually, I remember being at an investment trade show,
Mhm.
and somebody was actually selling uh, diamonds and colored diamonds just because they're really the most compact form of wealth, despite being fairly controlled price wise. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm really focusing on alternative currencies like gold and silver and even Bitcoin. But I remember Ron Paul
Yeah,
when he was questioning Ben Bernanke in the Senate. I think it was they were questioning him whether why the question was why do central bankers keep gold in their vaults if it's not money? Because according to the Federal Reserve, gold is not money, right? And silver is not
yeah,
money. And they want to, get us further away from it. But at the same time, they're hoarding it. And so Ron Paul, I really respect him. He was asking him why is it that they don't keep diamonds instead, and then Bernanke's reply was that it is custom or it's just tradition. It's just
yeah.
tradition. But I do know that if the price wasn't so controlled, then yeah, for sure it'd be a good investment to keep your wealth.
Yeah,
And I want you to send me please the link of this conversation so that I can post it to my Black Swan Finances group. Should I just
absolutely.
post the link to the call that you just sent me before, or?
Uh, no, it would be best to send a link for the event
Okay,
on.
thanks.
If you go to my YouTube on my channel, it should be live
Okay,
right
I'll do
now.
that. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And if you want to upload this on Black Swan Finances, I
Uh huh.
can send you a link that you can extract and upload.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on Africa Industry yesterday. And with this Bitcoin boom, now there's really no difference price-wise between buying gold and diamonds on Africa Industry as there is buying it on an open market.
And why do you think is that?
I think really as Bitcoin becomes more mainstream and more recognized, it's really closing the gap between outlets that traditionally use Bitcoin as either a novelty or something for privacy, and outlets that are now beginning to use Bitcoin or haven't used Bitcoin but have had contact with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think it'll just keep going for sure. The trend.
Yeah.
That's a trend.
So you think it'll keep going up? How about so if I was going to invest in gold or silver, one of the two, which one would you go for?
Well, I believe you should have both, and because for different reasons. Because it depends on the amount. We're talking about. If it's just a few $1,000s, then I would go for silver. But if you're talking, of a bigger amount, then we know that gold stores more value. So it just for practical purposes, I would go. If we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, then perhaps you should have a bit of gold. If it's just a few $1,000s, then I think you should go for silver, because silver has more of an upside potential than gold. The ratio right now, it's at 71, ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. But naturally, they're mining 9 to 1. 9 ounces, they're mining 9 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. So obviously the price, even historically, if you think about it, the price of silver and gold has been almost, between 9 to 1, 10 to 1, 11 to 1. 71 to 1 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why I would go for silver.
So what does that make the spot at today? Do you know today or recently?
Yeah, today it's like $17.20. I think that's what it is. But let me just quickly check. It's 1707. So they just smashed it. It just went down a bit. It gets smashed. Yeah. And gold is at $1,200.
Yeah. Gold's pretty stable.
Yeah, exactly. Gold has less volatility, and silver will have more volatility, both to the upside and the downside. So you gotta have a good stomach. Yeah.
What about gold and silver discoveries around the world?
Well, those are on the decline. Supply, it's shortening. The supply of both gold and silver is going down. You think about.
Well, there's a finite amount.
There is a finite amount, and all the deposits that were near the surface, they've been depleted, and now it takes. I'm just gonna close this window because there's some sirens here in downtown Montreal.
Nice, going after some Haitians.
So now it's just getting harder to find. They need more work to get just a few deposits. Yeah, it takes more money and effort to get them.
I remember I read First Billion is the Hardest by T. Boone Pickens. And this was petroleum. It wasn't precious metals, but same idea applies. He was talking to a geologist. This was 2006, I think. He was talking to a geologist, and he said, well, have you made any discoveries? And he says, we made some small discoveries. And then he said, but have you ever made any discoveries in places where you've never made discoveries before? And he said no.
Yeah, that's right. It's
just harder to get at.
T-Bone Pickens, yeah. Good old
Texan boy.
That's right. So going back to the question about whether you should buy gold or silver, I think now there's another way to buy gold, which is it's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's do you know Peter Schiff? Yeah, you're familiar with him.
I know Peter Schiff.
Yeah, it's pretty famous for having predicted the the stock market collapse in 2007 and the economic
Yeah.
crisis, because not only did he predict the collapse, he actually said that it was going to lead to a domino effect, right? Like we'll have consequences.
Yeah.
And he just
And long-lasting consequences. I mean,
yeah,
in past recessions, it's really dropped and gone up at a 45-degree angle, and this one has been at like a 20, maybe.
Yeah, it's been pretty
Liberal
steep
about it.
So he actually has a company, Gold Money. So it's goldmoney.com. And
Yeah.
I do have a video where I actually purchased some gold from Peter, from Peter Schiff. I got a gram of gold. You can buy a gram of gold online, and you can spend it with a prepaid MasterCard that you can load on his website.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just go buy my groceries with and pay in gold, basically.
Really?
And yeah, that's right. And I bought a gram at $49.77. $49.07. I'm talking about Canadian dollars, by the way.
Yeah, Canadian pesos.
Yeah.
I know the exchange there.
Yeah. Let me just go to their website because I just
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, Justin. Jesus, I think it's a lot to do with the central bankers as well. But listen,
Yeah.
So I bought my first gram at $49.77, and right now it's at $51.40. So it did appreciate it, the price.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess nowadays I'd say buy some gold as well, not just silver, but buy it through.
At 25.
You can get it at 25.
Yeah, not completely legally, but
yeah, in Panama, I guess.
El crisis in Venezuela es real, amigo.
Yeah, Venezuela, that's another story, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast. Yeah, you know what? Speaking about Venezuela, Colombian people, they're really getting into Bitcoin right now. Like when I opened my YouTube channel on the 1st of January, right? But it was live like on the 2nd. So ever since I've been broadcasting, and the people that are watching my videos are all from, the Spanish channel, because I do have an English and a Spanish channel.
Yeah.
The Spanish channel is pretty much 66% of my audience are all from Colombia.
How do you market your channel?
What's going on?
Just getting a little meta here, but how have you been marketing your channel?
Well, that's really funny because I just published the video and then it just got views. It's amazing. I think that for some reason, I don't think there's a lot of what is Bitcoin videos in Spanish, or I don't know what it is, but in a couple of weeks, I got, like 3,000, 4,000 views. Now it's got almost 5,000 views for one video.
Wow.
And 66% of the audience are from Bolivia, and they're already from Colombia, and they're joining, my website as well.
Nice.
So why do you think that people from Colombia are so interested in Bitcoin? Do you think that is it because of their neighbor and they're so close to Venezuela? Why do you think that is?
It could be that, or it could be, their currency is really sucking slew water right now too. It's just so up and down. I remember a couple of years ago, everybody was talking about how Colombia was really expensive, but now people who go there, it costs $100 to get from Panama City to Venezuela. Not Venezuela. Yes, Venezuela, right. But Medellin in Colombia. Right. And they say it's incredibly cheap just because the currency has gone down so much. And I guess it's intrinsic to a place with really volatile currencies to look for other solutions.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just surprised that it's specifically from Colombia. That's 66% of my audience are from there, and I do have about 10,000 views.
Nice.
So that's not too bad. We're just starting, and they're really interested in it. And I maybe it has to do with the fact that Venezuela is just going down the drain, and what I read on the news and what I saw on the reports is that people from Venezuela are trying to flee, right? So they go to Colombia to buy toilet paper. So maybe that's why they're getting into Bitcoin and maybe selling it to the Venezuelans. Could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, this is another video again, but a Bolivar in Venezuela. On paper, if you look it up on Google, it's 10 Bolivares for $1 USD.
Yeah, but that's not the accurate.
But that's not accurate because you can't have USD in Venezuela. So I can buy Bolivares at between 2,800 and 5,000 to the USD. So
yeah, Jesus.
really it means their buying power is realistically 1/25th to 1/50th. Am I doing the math right?
I think so. Yeah, I've heard that the currency is depreciating. You know, it was 600%, and now it's
they're going
1,700%.
Yeah, no, they're going full Weimar, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, this is what I keep hearing on the podcast that I myself listen to, that if you had an ounce of silver, you know, you can feed your family for at least 1 month.
If you can find food.
Jesus
there ain't
Christ,
food
yeah.
in the whole country.
Oh, that's terrible.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, all their irrigation systems are out. A lot of their water's out. Most of their, you know, they can't get fertilizer. Tough times.
Yeah.
But back
to very depressing.
Back to Bitcoin. Who's been watching your English videos mostly? What countries have they been coming from?
Well, I believe it's the U.S. for sure, the United States. Yeah. But you know, the English videos are not so popular, even though I got like at least 1,000 views. It's not. I mean, you know, it's because the market is saturated with Bitcoin videos in English. Everybody already knows about it, and everybody's doing videos about it. So, but I believe that it'll pick up, and but I can see really quick. You know, I do have all my links up in here, and I can tell you like my stats from the English channel, which I do believe that it is just all from the States, and perhaps you know, a little bit from here and there.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly check this because I'm right here in my analytics.
Yeah, I can't even get an accurate representation. I got like 50 views on my last one.
Let me tell you. I can see the map right here. Yeah, there you go. So United States 49%, Canada 13%, United Kingdom 9%, Australia and Netherlands at 2%. So yeah, the US and Canada, baby.
US and Canada. Do you think the election's gonna, you know, the inauguration and stuff, after that calms down? If it calms down, maybe America will, you know, burn for 8 years. I doubt it.
I doubt it. No, I don't think it's gonna calm down.
Do you think when it calms down, that'll tank gold, silver, and Bitcoin to a certain degree?
Actually, I don't. You know, I do believe that investors are a bit, you know, freaked out. For example, there was this tweet that Donald Trump made. I don't know. I think it was a couple of days ago to BMW. Was it? It was to BMW, right? For their plant. And you know, I mean, some people are freaked about it because it's not an American company, and they do sell BMWs to Mexico and the rest of Latin America as well. So they're thinking that, you know, the free market it's under attack, right? It's protectionism, and it's not even an American company, right? And so it's kind of like other countries, they can do whatever they want, right? But if he's going to start doing that, then I do believe that, you know, the investors are going to look for a safe haven, and I don't think it'll tank them or keep them down. I believe this year we could see great potential especially for Bitcoin. You know,
I remember somebody in Australia saying, "Oh, they've got half of their gold in gold, and they've got half of their golden certificates from the Australian government." But it made me laugh a little bit, because do you think if people are protesting and there's riots in the streets, Australia's on fire, you know, more on fire than it usually is every summer?
Right. Yeah. Record heat.
Yeah. No, Australia is like on fire socially. And
I know it's okay.
Such. Do you think the Australian government is going to say, "Oh, our currency went to hell, and everybody's protesting us, and obviously they want socialism or what have you. Here, we're going to cash you out for some gold"?
I don't think so. I think that if anything, they'll just, you know, they'll keep it. But
yeah, that's what I found funny about it.
Right. Yeah. I don't believe that they would do that. You know, I think that all the currencies are racing against the dollar. You know, the dollar is it's king. Huh?
Yeah. Well,
the petrodollar.
The dollar is, the dollar is the world reserve dollar, world reserve currency right now, debatable.
But it still is, right?
But well, it's debatable whether it is or not. A few countries are going away from it.
BRICS.
Such. Yeah, BRICS are starting a new one. I think China.
Yeah, the SDR with China.
Yeah.
The basket of currencies of the SDR. So I think, yeah, that's a shift of power that we're witnessing. And that's what's going on. People are, like you say, it's debatable. Right now, it still is, but yeah, I think it's the end of the petrodollar, I believe, and I'm not the only one. It's just honest, and that's where I got it from.
Yeah, it depends on. Really, the biggest dependent is how long the U.S. can keep messing around in sandy land.
Yeah.
Really. Because normies don't really understand what the petrodollar is and why all this stuff happened, but it really has to be done.
Yeah, it has
because most of the oil comes from sandy land.
Right. Yeah. I've heard that the United States has great reserves of oil, but of course they're not using those because that's just like a last.
It's in any country's best interest.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not a completely oil-based economy like Saudi Arabia or Canada, to withhold oil in their own reserves or in their own natural reserves. Like
better to buy
where the biggest
abroad.
oil. Yeah. You know where the biggest confirmed oil fields are, right?
Isn't that Venezuela?
Well, yeah. First is Venezuela.
There you go.
They actually have a majority stake in confirmed oil fields.
Uh-huh.
Except it's all like deep underwater and in nasty sand. It's like even worse than extracting Canadian oil. Number two.
Where's number two?
Is Canada, Alberta oil sands, and Saskatchewan. Just that they haven't gone into Saskatchewan heavily yet on it.
Mm-hmm.
And number three is actually Western China.
China, Jesus Christ.
So when that fact comes up, normies always ask, "Oh, well, why does China buy so much oil then?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it's better for them right now to buy oil
than to extract
their own, because they have leverage if they have more oil than nations that have formerly depleted their fields. Saudi Arabia is running out. The United Arab Emirates are, pretty much out.
Yeah, I see. It's better for countries to purchase it abroad. Yeah.
Russia's really resource rich. A lot of it's pretty hard to get to, but it's one of the few countries that still owns its own
reserves.
Yeah.
Resources as well because of the vast land. I think that's the biggest country on earth.
Yeah. Even natural gas is what. Yeah, it is.
Right.
Even natural gas. I think natural gas is going to be really a sort of a rising star post. I think Trump's probably delayed it 8 years because, he's planning on bringing coal back a little bit, and the U.S. has more than enough coal to last them a very long time. But I really think natural gas is a rising star. It burns fairly cleanly. There's still some big fields.
Yeah. Yeah, and also talking about energy, there's the electric batteries, right? Electronic batteries.
Yeah. Well, those are coal burning.
Lithium.
So, yeah, they're lithium, but you gotta have coal to generate the electricity, and
I see.
To make a photovoltaic cell,
mm-hmm.
like your average solar panel. This is the average size solar panel sold in the United States, not like the dinky cell phone solar panels, but a roof solar panel.
Yeah, roof one.
You need to burn a ton of coal, 2,000 pounds.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and it requires, I think, I don't know how many ounces of silver it needs for each panel. It does require a couple of ounces of silver at least.
And all these metals going into photovoltaics, they really aren't reclaimable.
No, they
Like you
they're
can
not.
eventually, you can do it, but it's far past the point of diminishing returns at this point in time. Also, the rare earth minerals, I think China has 97% of the market share, and the rest are in Africa.
Correct. Yeah, it's China, rare earth.
Yeah. Wind turbines. You can't make wind turbines in a factory powered by wind turbines. You need metallurgical coal to make steel to make wind turbines. Ironically enough.
I see. Yeah, well, I didn't know about that.
And they environmentally, really, they break even. It's just the subsidies that make it work. Because they do have
them. Where do they have them? In which country? I've seen them.
They have a lot in Western Canada, like Alberta. I remember driving southern Alberta; it was pretty full. They have quite a few in Argentina, and there's wind farms and windy bits in the U.S. But I remember a relative got a wind turbine, and between the government subsidies and how much electricity they were actually generating, they costed, I believe, at that point, $500,000 each. You could get a loan.
Yeah, I really don't see a future into that.
No, they costed $500,000 each, and over the course of 20 years, they made $1 million. But that was all because of subsidies and shit.
Yeah, and I'm sure they need a lot of maintenance in those years, you know?
It wasn't that bad. It was just, he said the worst part was it was really depressing picking up all the dead birds.
I was just gonna say that. I'm sure there's a lot of birds that just, you know, they get stuck there or they just crash.
Yeah. Yeah. What other alternative energy are we going to ruin today? Oh yeah, the amount of Portland cement that it takes to make a hydro dam is burns more fossil fuels than it would generate during its effective lifetime.
Oh my God! But they've done that anyways, right?
Yeah. Well, a hydro dam. It looks like a nice project if you're a government and you want to get shit done.
Yeah, if you want to generate employment and stimulate the economy,
make it look like you're doing shit.
Make it look like you're being productive, but
in the long run, the thing about government projects is that by definition, a government cannot produce anything because their only revenue
is
taxation.
That's right.
So they're taking something out to produce exactly the same amount or less, usually less because it's fairly inefficient.
Yes.
Except what they do is they use their tax base as collateral to take more debt and pay with that so that they look better than the other guys. And since democracy is very short-sighted, it works out pretty well for them.
Yeah, and that's a big problem nowadays, isn't it? You know, the debt problem. This is another reason why, you know, alternative investments, just such as gold, silver, Bitcoin, are on the rise, is because the U.S. is $20 trillion in debt. And so are all the other governments. No wonder their currencies are depreciating. Mexican peso lost, I mean, in the past year, it's lost like 25% of its value.
Mexico on suicide watch.
Mexicans on life support. Yeah, it's pretty bad, actually. It's pretty bad, but I'm glad that
and imagine when they close that border and they stop getting their biggest industry.
I know. Yeah, actually, I mean, think about it now.
The Mexican government raises more in tax revenue from money sent from the United States than it does from its GDP. Supposed biggest industry, which is petroleum.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, you know, the United States being the #1 economy, and then Mexicans in the millions.
#1 welfare state.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I think it's 50 million people on welfare.
Yeah.
49. Yeah, 45.
The average person receiving, the average household. So let's be liberal and say 3 people receiving 35 to 40,000 worth of benefits a year.
Yeah, well, those are the problems, you know, and it's all linked. That's the economic we're facing, and this is why I started the website.
Yeah, I think the phasing out of cash is going to do good things for, well, I mean, good things, as in good for people who work for the welfare state, because it'll allow for more pre-allocation of welfare money. I mean, in a lot of societies, welfare is a necessity because it's really bribing the lower classes to not go full Marxist.
Yeah. Yeah, it alleviates the pain enough for them to not
But
go
I
full
think
Marxist.
even though a lot of people use food stamps as the poster child for food stamps and rent support as the poster child for welfare, I do think they're the best form of welfare because they're pre-allocated.
Yeah, it's not that they can do whatever they want with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it gets sticky when you start giving them
cash.
Yeah, it gets sticky when you start having to give them cash.
Yeah.
Because
like here
then
in
you
Canada,
get flat screen
it's
TVs
more cash.
and Cadillacs. In Canada, what is the welfare system? Is it, from what I understand, it's mostly unemployment insurance, right?
Well, Canada has a different welfare system than the US for sure. We don't have food stamps here. They actually give
The Indians do have food stamps.
Do they? How
Yeah,
come?
on the
Do they
res.
have like a different system, or you mean you're talking about
They
India
do.
or the Indians here in Canada?
No, I'm talking about like Indios, like First Nations
Oh
peoples.
yeah, they're Indian. Okay, yeah, Indians,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, they do have. I don't even know what they have, but I'm sure that they have it pretty good, right?
No, I can explain it after you're done.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah. Here we have cash. It's just like it's a check, right? And so people can do whatever they want with it, which is it's not so big, so people usually just pay the rent.
yeah.
But we don't have food stamps for the regular population. I didn't know about the Indios, so tell me about it.
So they get like a food stamp type deal. Like from my understanding, my mom was born in Cardston, which is like a little town that was rented from the middle of a res. So from what I understand, they do get food stamps or a food stamp type thing. They get free housing on the res. They get free land if they want to use it. They get paid like $35K when they turn 18.
Jesus Christ.
Plus $35K a year cash. If they enter the military, they get an instant promotion.
Reparations.
More reparations.
More reparations, yeah. Wow.
But in exchange for that, they have to be living in the res to receive this.
All of it.
Yeah, and except for the army thing, that you just have to prove you're at least half blood. But yeah, you got to be living on the res. And the reses are dry. There's no alcohol, which means there's a big gasoline huffing and Lysol huffing problem.
Yeah, the reservations are, there's gambling, a lot of gambling that takes place, and for what I know, when I drive past them.
They're not allowed to have fireplaces in their houses. Because like the problem was, if you give them a fireplace,
they'll burn the house.
It gets broken up in a few days.
Yeah, I believe it.
They're asking for more furniture.
Yeah, well, the few that we see of them, the Amerindians, they have a problem.
Eastern Canada is way different because, from what I understand, they just sort of blend in, and there's not like the same sort of unity as there.
Oh, I mean, here in Eastern Canada, no, they don't blend in at all. They are on the street. They're like drunkards. They have a lot of problems, and I do. When I drive past the reservations, you see the casinos there, and then so there's a reservation.
There's quite a few. There's quite a few reservations in North Quebec, isn't there?
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
like that's North Country.
There's one near Chateauguay. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but Chateauguay, it's an English area. The Amerindians are mostly English, and that's where they hang out. Yeah, that's where one of the reservations is. That's the only one that I've really seen, myself.
Yeah. What about Standing Rock?
I'm not familiar. No, I'm not.
No.
I don't know much about Standing Rock.
No, another podcast.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyways, when you start making these 3-hour podcasts, I don't think people tune in that much after. So why don't we end this one at minutes in.
That's right.
And I don't know, maybe I'll see you again some week. Let's do the incestuous thing where we put one on your channel, put one on my channel, and we'll do it.
That's right. Yeah, I just want to invite whoever's going to listen to this or whoever's listening to.
Yeah. We'll
Black
get some more
Swan.
people in too.
That's right. Yeah, to blackswanfinances.com and to check out the videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. Just hit me up.
And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm not going to do my e-begging thing because podcasts ain't no time for e-begging and there ain't no crying in baseball. So we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Connor.